What's up everybody? In this video we're talking specifically for those individuals whose businesses has dropped in 2022. So if your income went down in 2022 over 2021, you need to make sure you watch this video. Super freaking crucial for you guys, because this is going to be an action-packed video of exactly the adjustments you should be making in your business to make sure that this year you have a increase, right? A guarantee increase in income. So let's dive right into the video. What's up everybody? My name is Henry Eisenstein. If you don't know who I am, I've been a part of over $400 million worth of real estate transactions, and I'm only 28 years old. So again, in this video, we're talking about how to virtually guarantee an increase in your income, right? So in 2023, there's, listen.
The economy's all over the place, right?
We're technically in a recession and have been in a recession for quite some time now, right? I think we're actually almost at 4 quarters of negative GDP. So we're definitely in a recession here, right? Stock market's been crashing, interest rates are still high, a lot of uncertainty. And it's like, how can you guarantee that you're gonna make more money this year over last year? Well, it's pretty simple actually. Let's just break down the data. When it comes to increasing your income, it's really simpler than you think. Let's just talk about what you probably did last year, right? Let's just talk about your numbers, because at first, the first thing that we always like to talk about, especially when I'm coaching somebody, is we need to go off of the data. Let's talk about what you have done so that we know, for that starting point. We need to know where you are or what you have done so we know where to go, right? Where to go next. Because if we don't know where we are now, how the heck can I tell you where to go? What's interesting is okay, if you have not yet tracked your data, which is how many calls you've made, right? Which is most of the time the only data that anyone really tracks is how much money you made, right? So everyone happens to know that number. Well, I sold, or how much properties you've sold, right? How many properties you sold, or the volume or production that you sold, right? Those are the numbers people know. You ask any real estate agents, how many calls did you make last year? They don't have no idea. My team tracks every single call, every single conversation, every single new lead, every single contract that they sign, every appointment, everything. Every single one of those metrics is tracked. And we do that because if I don't know where you are today, it's hard to gauge, and it's hard for you to even know where you're going to be tomorrow, or next month, next quarter, or next year. This is how we base our business analytics of how to make adjustments. We base it off of data. The first thing you're gonna wanna think about is, am I tracking my data, right? If you're not, get on that immediately. And which, by the way, again, I've seen this in a lot of other videos. We use Google Drive, we use Google Sheets, everyone just uploads their numbers, right? And by the way, comment down below if you guys have any other better softwares you guys use for tracking metrics. Love to know. I'm just a freak about Google Sheets. I love Google Sheets, I love Excel. I'm a guy with the formulas and stuff like that. So anyways, number one is all about tracking your data, because we need to know where you are now. Let's just say that we do know where you are now and you are tracking your data. Now let's actually talk about the fun facts. I call it the magic of doubling. So the magic of doubling is essentially everything you're doing in your business, which I'll break down for you in this video. Double every metric, double every single metric that you track this year over last year. And if you just double the metrics, you're virtually going to guarantee yourself to make more money. Because I would say it's virtually impossible to do more action of something. I guarantee you, if you worked out once a week on average for the year of 2022, I guarantee that if you just worked out twice a week this year over last year, you'd probably be in better shape, right? Or it'd be hard to be in worse shape. So just about, you can use any example. Anything that, again, whatever you did this year, and if you just doubled it for next year, essentially in any hobby, you'd probably get twice as good, right? It's hard to be worse at something as something you're trying to practice at if you double the amount of time that you spent practicing. Same thing in real estate. If you're getting massive value out of this video and you want to work with me personally, make sure you check out the first link in the description down below and schedule your free consultation with myself and my team. If, let's just say, last year you made on average, I don't know, call it, 50 calls a day, right? 50 calls, right? That's not actually, we're talking about dials. How many calls you made a day? 50 a day, which, by the way, is probably more than some of you are even making. If you just did 100 dials average a day, so that means, because think about it, 50 dials a day is 250 a week, or 1,000 a month. So 1,000 calls a month. That means you had 1,000 phone calls that you made a month. If you just did 100 calls a day, right, which would be 2,000 roughly per month. Now think about it. It would be very hard for you to make less money than you did last year, right? Just a simple principle, right? If you just double everything, right? So you doubled your calls. Now, let's say of your, call it 1,000 calls that you possibly made, right, in your month, which by the way, I want to give you a quick example. Because I was talking actually, I had a huge team meeting and we were going over some numbers, end of the year stuff. Like we had a lot of fun. Went to a nice fancy dinner, had a great time. We did all this and we were talking about some numbers. One of the guys had asked a question about like, how many calls a month would be a good month? Really great question, really fantastic question. Because it's an interesting question. Say, like, how many calls is actually a good month? Well, I'll give you an example. In my best year using the dialer, which I used Mojo, the most calls I made in 1 year was 140,000 calls personally. 140,000 is a little over 10,000 a month. So let's just say 10,000 calls a month. I was working 6 or 7 days a week, every week. So each week I was making about 2,500 calls, which means on average, I was making, 400 calls a day on a dialer? 400 calls on average a day. For those of you listening, and you're wondering like, hey, how do I make more money in 2023 than I did in 2022? Or hey, I made less money in 2022 than I did in 2021. You gotta play the doubles game. The more that you focus on it, the less stress you have, right? Like, cause it's not overly complicated. Double the calls is gonna have double the amount of conversations, which means you'll have double the lead flow most likely. When you have double the lead flow and you ask for the close, right? You close for the appointment, double the amount of time, which basically should just be virtually every single conversation. You should have more appointments. And when you have more appointments and then you go for the close and you go on more appointments, you're probably gonna close more deals, right? Pretty simple math, right? Like, you don't overthink that. But one of the really, really interesting thing here is like, not only should you be playing the double game about every metric across the board, but you should also be working twice as hard on yourself and your abilities. You should be spending twice the amount of time of whatever amount of time you're allotting, which for many of you might be 0, but for some of you, kudos to you guys, right, who are spending time on role playing, which is practicing your scripts with a buddy or an accountability partner, because we do this all the time for the coaching program. Practicing your scripts, like getting better at your scripts is going to allow you to make more money. If you have 2 people who make 100 calls a day, but person A practices their scripts every day for 15 to 20 minutes a day, and person B doesn't ever do it at all, doesn't practice their scripts, right? Like just wings it on every call. And this person is getting 5 or 10% better at their scripting every month. Think about it, at the end of the year, this person can probably do half the work and get the same result. That's freaking awesome. So if you're wondering how you can eventually work less hours and make the same money or more money, is because when you get so good at your scripting, you don't need to spend 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours calling anymore. You can call for 30 minutes or an hour. Every time I pick up the phone now, when I cold call, I set an appointment every time. Every single time I set an appointment. Because I'm so good at my scripting now. And I had to toot my own horn, because I don't even think I'm the best around. I think I'm pretty good, right? But like, I know people who are better than me, and that's okay. I was like, I've gotten pretty good over the years, especially making over more than 1 million cold calls in my career. I'm just here to explain to you, like that's what it's all about, guys. Like, that's what this is all about. The interesting thing that I'd love to share with you guys is really just understand that like the doubles game is every aspect. It's not one aspect, but if you just did one aspect, your business would change drastically. But if you doubled every metric in your business, then you double the amount of time that you spent on improving yourself and improving your skill set. Think about how the drastic increase in your business would be. And that's just a few things. Let's layer it with spending half the amount of money. So the double game works the opposite. Let's spend half the amount of money this year than you did last year. Whatever amount of money you spent last year, right? Write it down, right? So like, again, if I hope you tracked how much money you made, and you're gonna look at how much money you spent, and I challenge you to spend half the amount of money this year. We've talked about doubling all your metrics, doubling the amount of time you're working on improving your own skill sets. We've talked about spending now half the amount of money, because if you spend half the amount of money and you just made the same, right? You made the same exact amount of money this year as you did last year, technically you net more money, right? So if you spent hypothetically, you grossed $100,000 last year, but you spent $30,000 on your business, but in this year you spent 15. That means you made 85 actually this year, right? Even if you made your same 100, but you spent half the amount, so you made an extra 15 grand this year. So you see, like, again, these are just very simple things to guarantee you to make more money, guaranteed. So the next point, if you want to increase your income this year, one piece would also be to double your network, right? Let's keep playing the doubles game. So double your network. So how many people do you have in your network right now? Which, by the way, again, if you're not tracking how many people are in your network, this is a simple thing to start with, which, by the way, just get a piece of loose leaf paper, not even kidding, or your notes on your phone, and just write down every person in your network, right? Every person you can think of that you talk to on a monthly basis consistently. That person would be in your network, right? All the attorneys you work with, all the title, mortgage, all the handyman, barber, or the person who does your hair, everyone that you speak to on a monthly basis. Just track it, right? And you're gonna see everyone who's in your network, right? Now, you're gonna wanna slim that list down to people who have referred you business. On that entire list of individuals with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, whatever it is, right? How many of those people have referred you business? Let's just talk about it, right? That's gonna be your professional partners list. If they've referred you a deal, they're on your professional partners list. Absolutely, right? If you want to earn more money, want to guarantee it, double that amount of individuals that have referred your business, right? Or double the amount of people that you speak to on a monthly basis, right? Your network, right? I literally was just doing this the other day. Barber's name is Nick. Anyways, I was talking to my buddy Nick, we're having a good conversation. I'm like, Nick, listen, man, I'm really heavily in the commercial world. I'm finding a lot of unbelievably really good deals these days. Who do you know who would be an awesome person for me to talk to who's looking to buy more real estate this year? And he's like, oh yeah, this guy Steven, really, really good guy, really successful, buys a lot of real estate, comes in here and talks about it all the time. Cool, awesome. Guess what? Connecting me with Steven, and that's that, right? So that now I just went from Nick to now Nick and Steven. And by the way, now the cool part is that now I have Nick and Steven, and then I can easily just have the same conversation after probably 30 days of talking to Steven, right? I can have the same conversation with Steven. Hey, I know that you look for multifamily. I also do a lot of retail and warehouse space. Just out of curiosity, do you have anybody who, in your network or someone that you know who specifically focuses on either one of those asset classes? Yeah, my buddy John. Okay, cool. Well, now I have Nick, Steven, and John, and it's been 90 days. I still have another 270 days of this year. So by the end of this year, I'll have more than a double, and I'm only just talking about one person. Now this multiplied times every person in your network, but this is the power of something as simple as networking. Maybe you do business with Steve, right? Like from Nick to Steve. I do business with Nick already, but let's say now, I may or may not do business with Steven, right? The guy he referred me to. But here's the thing. I probably will end up doing business with someone, or someone Steven knows, right? Or someone that Steven knows that maybe they know somebody. So it's not just about the next person. It's about who they know and then who they know, right? It's a spider web effect. So that's how your network can grow massively, and where your income could also grow massively with ease. So the next double is on your follow-up. Let's say double your follow-up. Now I'm talking about two metrics when I talk about follow-up. I'm talking about doubling the frequency in which you follow up, and I am talking about the modes in which you follow up. So double both. When it comes to the frequency in which you follow up, this is specifically talking about how when you have a follow-up, when basically someone says oh yeah, call me back in a month. Some of you guys go, all right, cool, I'll call you back in a month. Then there's gonna be some of you who listen to my videos and go, no, I'm gonna call you back in 2 weeks, right?
But I can tell them that, obviously.
I'm gonna call that person back in 2 weeks. And then there's the person who takes it one step further, and in that 2-week period of time, sends them an email, sends them a text, and then calls them on that second week. So now you've touched them 3 times in 2 weeks. Instead of the person who now calls them in 30 days, like they just said, hey, call me back in a month. No, you're gonna reach out via text message, maybe do a video message, you send them an email, and you call them 3 or 4 different touches within a 2-week period of time, and then you're gonna do the same few over the next 2 weeks. So now you're gonna touch them 8 times in a matter of 30 days. This is what I'm talking about, doubling down, guys, right? This is where you can guarantee yourself more sales, right? Because if someone says, call me back in 30 days, and you call back in 30 days, and I've touched that person, same kind of person, because we're, you're competing with a lot of real estate agents. You're not the only person talking to John Smith, the seller, right? Whoever. What I'm trying to make here is that if you play the doubles game, you are again virtually guaranteeing to increase your income. Almost guaranteed here, right? Think about that competition. You called them 1 time in 30 days, but I've connected with that person 8 touches in 30 days, and it possibly could be more than that. Who do you think they're gonna list with? The person who's gone above and beyond and not in an aggressive way, because that's only guys that's 1 video text every 3 weeks, right? I mean, 1 video message every 3 weeks. A text message just to say, hope you had a fantastic weekend, looking forward to touching base in a few weeks. Hope, kind of hope all is well. An email to say, hey, here's all my contact information, just wanted to make sure you received it on, via email, as well as here's a couple comps of properties around your area. Looking forward to meeting with you in a couple weeks, or looking forward to connecting with you in a couple weeks. I touched this person a couple of different ways in various modes of communication, which is the second piece of this. So this person's just at the end of 30 days, oh, hey, it's Henry. You told me to call you back in 30 days. It's been 30 days. Just wanted to touch base and see if selling the property is still part of the game plan. Oh, you do some of your scripts, but guess what? I already touched base with them 8 times. Sorry. Oh, sorry. You ever got those calls? Oh, Henry, that's right. I already listed the property because this agent, as we've already been talking with somebody. I'm sorry. Better luck next time. Thank you so much for being in touch. Which, by the way, if you have a buyer, you can bring them on over. Have you ever done those kind of calls? Yeah, I know, they suck, right? But the way to avoid that is to double down on your follow-up, right? To double your follow-up. So double the frequency and double the modes of communication. So again, if you're just calling, make sure you do a text, a video message, an email, a handwritten card. There's a lot of different ways you can connect with people. It does not just have to be just a freaking phone call, right? Or just a text message. It's adding and combining all those together, which is gonna put you ahead of your competition. So another key point in order to guarantee to increase your income over last year, right, is to make sure you double the amount of contacts, right? Double the contact ratio or the contact rate for your past clients and your sphere of influence, right? So that means the following. So I know we brought up sphere of influence, but this is specific around past clients if you have them. And again, if you don't have a lot of past clients, this can also double down for your entire database. So what I mean is double the contact rate for everyone. So that means if you're constantly speaking with your sphere of influence, once a month. You should be calling them every 2 weeks. Same thing with past clients. If you're avidly talking to a past client once a year, you should probably be calling them every 6 months, or maybe every 4 months, right? Or every 3 months, right? So the point is that you're going to increase the rate in which you are conversating with people. So especially the people in your business, right? Or in your network, in your sphere, in your past client list. Like, these are the type of people that you want to increase the ratio in which you speak to them, the constant rate in which you contact these people. Think about this. Your past clients, and by the way, you can even do the same thing with your modes, right? You can increase the modes in which you reach out to these people, which means video messages, emails, text messages, phone calls, handwritten notes, mailers, you know, like calling them for get their birthdays, their anniversaries, their kids' birthdays, whatever it is, right? Like, more touch points, the better rate or the better ability, or the better probability you're gonna have to earn more money. Simple as that, guys, simple as that. All right, guys, look, that's it for this video. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It would mean the world to us. We're trying to break 2,000 within the next few weeks, so it would mean the world to us to do that. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you put it in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.